Some people work harder than everyone around them, yet their income feels tight. Bills increase, stress grows, and no matter how much effort they put in, peace never comes with the money. They ask, why is Allah not opening doors for me? But very few people ask the more dangerous question, what am I doing daily that is closing them? My brothers and sisters, rizq is not only money, rizq is peace, rizq is ease, rizq is contentment. And Allah can give wealth without barakah or barakah without wealth. The tragedy is not having little. The tragedy is working endlessly and still feeling empty. There is a daily action that blocks barakah even if you work hard. It is common, it feels small, and that is why it is so dangerous. Let us talk about it honestly. 1. Neglecting Allah while chasing provision. One of the greatest mistakes of our time is chasing provision while neglecting the provider. We rush for work, for business, for clients, for deadlines, but we delay salah. We shorten dua. We push Allah to the corner of our schedule and then expect Him to bless the center of our lives. This contradiction is so common that many people don't even notice it anymore. They say they believe Allah provides, yet their daily behavior says something else. Think about how your day begins. Many people wake up already anxious, already late, already thinking about money, messages and responsibilities. Fajr is rushed or skipped. Remembrance is postponed. The heart starts the day attached to effort, not to Allah. And when the foundation of the day is cracked, everything built on it feels unstable. Allah never said rizq comes from effort alone. He clearly told us that He is Ar-Razzaq, the one who provides. Effort is required, yes, but effort without reliance is empty. You can run all day, exhaust yourself, sacrifice your health, and still feel lost if your heart is disconnected from Allah. That is like driving fast without knowing the destination. Speed does not compensate for direction. When salah becomes optional, something inside us shifts. Salah is not just a ritual, it is a daily declaration that Allah comes first. When we delay it habitually, we are training our hearts to believe that dunya is more urgent than Allah. Over time, this creates a subtle arrogance, not loud arrogance, not spoken arrogance, but practical arrogance. We behave as if our effort is carrying us, not Allah's mercy. Remembrance becoming rare has consequences too. Dhikr is what softens the heart. It is what reminds us who is truly in control. Without it, the heart hardens, stress increases, and fear of the future grows. You may earn more money, but your mind will never rest. You will constantly worry about losing what you gained because deep down you believe you are the one holding it together. Gratitude disappearing is another silent danger. When you stop thanking Allah daily, you start expecting instead. And expectation kills barakah. You begin to feel that what you have is not enough, even when it is. You compare constantly. You look at others and feel deprived, even though Allah has already given you more than you once begged for. This is how barakah leaves slowly, not with a sudden loss, but with a gradual emptiness. Money comes in, but it vanishes quickly. Expenses increase unexpectedly. Satisfaction disappears. You feel tired all the time, even when things seem fine on the surface. Many people respond by working harder, adding more hours, chasing more goals, but they never stop to ask if the problem is spiritual, not financial. Hard work without obedience is not strength. It is arrogance dressed as effort. True strength is waking up for Allah even when you are tired. True ambition is protecting your salah even when life is busy. True intelligence is knowing that success without Allah is a test, not a reward. When Allah is placed first, effort becomes lighter. When Allah is neglected, effort becomes heavier. This is not theory, this is lived reality. Those who honor Allah in their daily routine may have less, but they sleep peacefully. Those who neglect Him may have more, but they are never at ease. Rizq is not blocked because you didn't try hard enough. It is blocked when Allah is no longer the priority of your day. Fix that, and even small provision will feel sufficient. Ignore it, and no amount will ever feel enough. 2. Daily ingratitude invites loss. One of the most dangerous habits a person can develop is daily ingratitude, because it often hides behind normal conversation and everyday thoughts. People don't usually wake up intending to be ungrateful. It slowly becomes part of how they speak, how they think, and how they view their lives. And when ingratitude becomes a daily state, barakah quietly begins to leave. Many people think gratitude is limited to saying Alhamdulillah when something good happens. But gratitude in Islam is much deeper than words. Gratitude is a way of seeing. It is how you interpret your situation, how you speak about your life, and how you respond to what Allah has already given you. Look at how often people complaining about income, complaining about work, complaining about people, complaining about delays. When complaint becomes constant, the heart starts focusing on what is missing instead of what is present. Over time, this creates dissatisfaction even in comfort. A person can have food, shelter, health, and opportunities, yet still feel deprived because their eyes are trained to look at lack. Comparison is another form of ingratitude that many people practice daily without realizing it. They look at what others have and feel cheated by Allah. They scroll, they observe, they measure their lives against someone else's highlight, and suddenly what they once prayed for feels insufficient. This comparison poisons contentment and turns blessings into burdens. Allah does not remove blessings suddenly. He removes their sweetness first. The money remains, but the joy disappears. The work continues, but fulfillment fades. The house stands, but peace leaves it. This is one of the clearest signs of ingratitude taking root. The blessing still exists, but it no longer nourishes the heart. Ingratitude also shows itself through entitlement. When a person starts believing they deserve more simply because they worked hard, they forget that effort alone does not guarantee outcomes. Many people work hard and receive little. Others receive much with less effort. That difference is not injustice, it is divine wisdom. When a person forgets this, arrogance quietly replaces gratitude. Daily ingratitude affects behavior as well. A person who is ungrateful becomes impatient with Allah's timing. They rush outcomes, they resent delays, they interpret every obstacle as a personal attack instead of a test. This mindset creates constant frustration and emotional exhaustion even when life is objectively improving. Allah promises clearly that gratitude increases blessings. But increase does not always mean more money. Sometimes it means fewer problems. Sometimes it means calm in difficulty. Sometimes it means protection from loss. When gratitude disappears, this protection weakens and life becomes heavier even without major changes. Gratitude is not pretending everything is perfect. It is recognizing Allah's favors even when life is imperfect. It is thanking Him for what is present while trusting Him with what is missing. When gratitude becomes daily, Barakah multiplies quietly. When ingratitude becomes daily, loss begins quietly. Many people search for financial solutions, career changes, and external fixes while the real issue sits in the heart. If you speak negatively about your life every day, expect it to feel heavy. If you constantly focus on what you don't have, expect what you do have to feel insufficient. Gratitude realigns the heart. It reminds you that Allah has been kind to you before and He will be kind again. When that awareness returns, provision feels lighter, effort feels meaningful, and even small blessings begin to feel large again. 3. Earning halal but spending with arrogance and waste. One of the most misunderstood realities about rizq is that it is not protected simply because the income is halal. Halal earnings are essential, but what you do with that money matters just as much. Many people are careful about how they earn, yet careless about how they spend. And this carelessness slowly drains barakah from their lives. Some people spend to be seen. They buy things not because they need them, but because they want approval. They upgrade not out of necessity, but out of comparison. Their spending decisions are driven by image, competition, and ego rather than wisdom. Over time, money becomes a tool for validation instead of a tool for stability. Barakah does not live where arrogance lives. When money is used to elevate the ego, Allah allows it to lose its protective quality. You may afford things, but they bring stress instead of comfort. You worry about maintaining a lifestyle. You fear falling behind. You become trapped in a cycle where earning more only increases pressure, not peace. Waste is another silent destroyer of barakah. Spending excessively, throwing away usable things, living far beyond one's means, and normalizing extravagance all weaken the blessing in wealth. Islam never praised deprivation, but it never praised excess either. Balance is where barakah settles. Some people spend without intention. Money flows out impulsively, emotionally, and carelessly. There is no planning, no responsibility, no sense of accountability before Allah. When wealth is treated casually, it leaves casually. This is not coincidence, this is consequence. Spending also reveals the state of the heart. When a person struggles to give charity but finds it easy to spend on themselves, something is out of alignment. Charity does not reduce wealth, it disciplines it. It reminds the heart that money is a trust, not ownership. Without this reminder, attachment grows and fear grows with it. Many people feel constantly short on money, not because they earn too little, but because they spend without wisdom. Barakah is what allows money to stretch. Without it, even large amounts feel tight. Bills multiply, needs increase, satisfaction disappears. When wealth is used responsibly, humbly, and with consciousness of Allah, it brings ease. When it is used to compete, impress, and indulge the ego, it becomes heavy. The same amount of money can feel like a blessing in one hand and a burden in another. Halal earnings must be paired with halal character. When spending reflects humility, gratitude, and responsibility, Allah protects that wealth. But when spending reflects arrogance, waste, and pride, Barakah slowly walks away, leaving only numbers without peace. 4. Cutting family ties while asking Allah for expansion. One of the clearest contradictions in a believer's life is asking Allah for expansion in provision while shrinking their character toward the people He commanded them to honor. Many people raise their hands and ask Allah for more rizq, more ease, and more stability. Yet in their daily lives, they cut off family members, hold on to grudges, and justify long-term resentment. Family ties are not optional in Islam. They are not based on convenience, mood, or agreement. They are a command from Allah. When a person treats family relationships as disposable, they weaken one of the strongest channels through which barakah flows. Some people say, they hurt me and pain is real. Islam does not deny pain. But Islam also teaches responsibility beyond emotion. Cutting ties completely, refusing all communication, and allowing bitterness to settle in the heart is not strength. It is a slow spiritual loss that affects every area of life, including provision. The Prophet ﷺ made it clear that maintaining family ties increases rizq and extends life. This means that cutting them does the opposite, not always immediately and not always visibly, but inevitably. Expansion is replaced with restriction. Ease is replaced with tension. Du'as feel unanswered, not because Allah is distant, but because the servant has blocked a path of mercy. Grudges are heavy. They consume emotional energy daily. A person may think they have moved on, but the heart remembers. That weight shows up in stress, irritability, and dissatisfaction. Barakah does not thrive in hearts filled with resentment. It requires humility, patience, and willingness to rise above ego. Maintaining family ties does not mean accepting abuse or allowing harm. It means keeping the door of mercy open. It means choosing dignity over pride. It means doing your part for Allah, even if others fall short. When intention is sincere, Allah handles what you cannot. Many people underestimate how much family conflict drains their lives. They blame finances, work, or bad luck, while ignoring the spiritual blockage caused by broken relationships. Allah connects provision to character more than people realize. When a person softens their heart toward family, even silently something shifts. Du'as feel lighter, effort feels more meaningful, provision feels less strained. This is not coincidence. This is alignment with Allah's order. You cannot ask Allah to open doors of rizq while you are actively closing doors of mercy. Expansion follows obedience. When family ties are protected, even imperfectly, barakah finds its way back into a person's life. 5. Daily injustice, even in small matters. One of the most underestimated reasons barakah disappears from a person's life is daily injustice. Not the dramatic kind that makes headlines, but the small, repeated wrongs that people justify, ignore, or normalize. These actions seem insignificant in isolation, but when they become habits, they quietly poison provision. Many people believe they are just because they are not criminals or oppressors. But injustice in Islam is broader than that. It includes delaying what is owed, taking advantage of someone's silence, underpaying a worker, wasting another person's time, or benefiting from something while pretending not to notice the harm it causes. Some people delay payments even though they are able to pay. They give excuses not because they lack money, but because they want control. Others exploit kindness, knowing the other person will not confront them. These actions may seem small, but Allah sees them clearly, and barakah does not remain where injustice is practiced, even quietly. Injustice also appears in words. Speaking unfairly about others, misrepresenting the truth, or damaging someone's reputation to protect your own interests carries a heavy spiritual cost. A person may think this has nothing to do with rizq, but character and provision are deeply connected. Allah may allow an unjust person to gain temporarily, but He never allows injustice to produce lasting blessing. What comes through wrong eventually leaves through stress, loss, or constant dissatisfaction. The person may not link the two, but the pattern is there. Daily injustice hardens the heart. It removes sensitivity. A person stops feeling uncomfortable with wrong actions, and that spiritual numbness is dangerous. When the heart no longer reacts to injustice, it also stops recognizing blessings properly. Many people wonder why their earnings feel tight despite effort. They calculate income and expenses but never calculate fairness. They plan budgets but ignore accountability. Barakah is not a mathematical equation, it is a moral one. Restoring justice, even in small matters, brings lightness. Paying what is owed on time, apologizing when wrong, returning what is not yours. These actions may seem unrelated to money, but they unlock something deeper. They clean the path through which rizq flows. Allah is Al-Adl, the most just. When a servant aligns with justice in daily behavior, Allah aligns provision with that servant. But when injustice becomes routine, barakah quietly withdraws, leaving behind effort without reward. 6. Relying on means while forgetting the one who controls them. One of the most subtle ways barakah is blocked is when a person begins to rely completely on means and slowly forgets the one who controls those means. This does not happen overnight. It happens gradually as trust shifts from Allah to salary, business, connections, or plans. The tongue may still mention Allah, but the heart has attached itself elsewhere. Many people say they have tawakkul, but their reactions reveal otherwise. When a job is threatened, panic takes over. When a client leaves, fear dominates. When income fluctuates, peace disappears. This reaction shows where reliance truly lives. Tawakkul does not remove effort, but it removes panic. When panic remains, trust is misplaced. Using means is required. Islam never taught laziness. But there is a difference between using means and worshipping them. Some people believe their intelligence, hustle, or strategy is what sustains them. Allah becomes a secondary thought, consulted only when plans fail. This imbalance quietly blocks barakah. When reliance is placed on means, fear increases. The person becomes obsessed with control. They overthink, overwork, and exhaust themselves trying to secure a future that only Allah controls. Even success feels fragile because it is built on something that can disappear at any moment. True reliance brings calm even in uncertainty. A person may not know how tomorrow will unfold, but their heart remains steady because it trusts Allah's wisdom. This calm attracts barakah. Peaceful effort is always more productive than anxious effort. Many people chase stability through numbers, savings, and guarantees. But Allah never promised certainty in the dunya. He promised sufficiency for those who trust Him. When reliance is corrected, money may not increase dramatically, but worry decreases significantly. And that reduction in worry is itself a form of provision. Relying too heavily on means also weakens dua. When a person believes outcomes are in their hands, dua becomes formal instead of sincere. They ask Allah, but they don't expect Allah. This distance reduces the spiritual strength of supplication. Barakah follows hearts that are attached upward, not outward. When effort is paired with trust, Allah places ease in the process. When effort replaces trust, Allah allows exhaustion to replace peace. Means are tools, not guarantees. The moment a servant remembers this and reattaches their heart to Allah, provision feels lighter. Fear loosens its grip and barakah quietly returns. 7. Ignoring Allah's warnings and calling it normal life. One of the most dangerous habits a person can develop is ignoring Allah's warnings and labeling them as normal life. Constant stress, constant anxiety, constant tightness in the chest, and constant dissatisfaction are not always signs of a busy schedule or a difficult economy. Often they are spiritual signals asking for attention. Allah is merciful. He does not punish without warning. Before loss comes unease, before restriction comes discomfort, before hardship becomes visible, it is felt internally. Many people sense this heaviness but choose to drown it in distraction instead of reflection. Some people live with continuous pressure even when their situation is objectively stable. They earn but never feel secure. They achieve but never feel content. They rest but never feel refreshed. This is not a productivity issue. It is a spiritual imbalance. When the heart drifts away from Allah, life loses its softness. Small problems feel overwhelming. Minor delays cause anger. Joy becomes rare. These are not random experiences. They are signs that something deeper needs correction. Instead of listening, many people normalize this state. They say everyone is stressed, everyone is anxious, everyone is tired. And while this may be true, it does not mean it is healthy or acceptable. Normal does not mean aligned with Allah. Ignoring these warnings leads to greater loss. When reflection is postponed, correction is delayed. When correction is delayed, consequences grow. Allah gives the servant time to return before he changes circumstances. But when the heart refuses to turn back, external pressure often increases. True awareness begins when a person stops blaming everything outside and looks inward, not with self-hate, but with honesty. What has changed in my relationship with Allah? What have I slowly abandoned? What have I normalized that should never have been normal? When a person responds to warnings early, Allah's mercy is vast. A small correction brings great relief. A renewed intention brings calm. A sincere return brings lightness. But this only happens when the signs are taken seriously. Rizq is not only what enters your hands, it is also what settles in your heart. When Allah is pleased, life feels manageable even with little. When Allah is ignored, life feels heavy even with much. Those who listen to Allah's warnings early are protected from harsher lessons later. And those who return sincerely find that Barakah was never far away. It was waiting for attention, not effort. My brothers and sisters, understand this clearly. Poverty is not always a lack of money, and wealth is not always an abundance of it. True loss is when Barakah leaves, when peace disappears, and when effort no longer brings ease. Many people exhaust themselves trying to fix their lives from the outside, while the real repair is needed within. Allah never asked you to stop working. He asked you to work while remembering Him. He never asked you to abandon effort. He asked you to purify intention, character, and reliance. When these are corrected, even small provision becomes sufficient, and even delayed outcomes become bearable. If your life feels tight despite hard work, do not despair. Tightness is often an invitation, not a rejection. It is Allah calling you back to alignment. A return to salah, a return to gratitude, a return to justice, a return to humility, and a return to trust can change more than a new plan ever will. Do not wait for loss to remind you of Allah. Do not wait for hardship to soften your heart. Turn back while you still have the chance to correct gently. Barakah responds quickly to sincerity. May Allah place peace in your heart, honesty in your actions, and barakah in what you earn. And may He make what you have enough for you, and what is enough a means of gratitude, not distraction.